All right, well, the turmoil surrounding Michigan State University's Board of Trustees doesn't seem to be dying down.
At a meeting late last night, Rima Vassar resigned as board chair. That is just part of the upheaval here. Rod Maloney live in East Lansing to break it down for us. A lot of moving parts to this, Rod.
Yeah, Devin, so much happened at that emergency meeting last night here. It was a Zoom call. They would normally meet here, but they had a Zoom call, and a lot happened, and there's a lot of fallout. Kevin Guskowitz started as the new Michigan State University president today, and the Board of Trustees has a new chairperson, as Dan Kelly ended up voted in after former board chair Dr. Rima Vassar resigned last night.
I did hope that my resignation would calm the temperature of the board, and I'm still hopeful of that, even though I believe that these actions are punitive and over the top.
Her resignation coming after the release of this 66-page report by the Washington, D.C. law firm Miller and Chevalier that found bullying and a management style filled with fear of retaliation the hallmark of Vassar's leadership. The firm recommended both Vassar and board member Dennis Deno get referred to Governor Whitmer to decide whether to remove them. Deno's statement saying, quote, "I refute most of the allegations in the Miller-Chevalier report. I will accept a censure but contest any form of punishment. What has been proposed is overly punitive in nature," end quote. The board, in fact, did censure Vassar and Deno, and also board member Brianna Scott for her publication of a letter calling out Vassar's conduct. In the end, former chair Vassar told the board,
"While I concede that I could make different decisions in the past, in some cases over this past year, I've made the wrong decision, the wrong choice. I maintain that I disagree with some of the findings and recommendations in the Miller-Chevalier report."
Clearly the board looking for a fresh start here. Now, I did reach out to everybody that was talked about in that report, from the president on down to Brianna Scott. Nobody returned phone calls, nobody interested in doing an interview. But in terms of the governor, we got a statement out of her office today saying that, as we have done in similar instances, we will take the time to carefully review this request upon official receipt of the formal communication from the board. That is where the governor will decide whether to keep those two board members who had been censured and could lose their post here. It's up to her to make that decision. Back to you.
Rod, I'm kind of assuming for students life goes on as usual, but what are they saying about this?
Well,
maybe I shouldn't assume that.
Well, you know, no, we shouldn't assume that, Devin. And surprisingly, you know, normally when we do a story like this, a lot of the students have no idea what went on. It was not hard for us to find students who understood what was happening. And in fact, we'll be hearing from them coming up on Local 4 News at 6.
All right, Rod, we will see you then.